Hello, and welcome once again to Life That Matters. My name is Dr. Sharon Norris Elliott.
And I'm Lady Laura Simon.
She's my friend. and we love to talk with you.
Yes.
Just like girl to girl.
Yes.
There might be some guys watching.
Yes.
Normally it's girl to girl.
Yeah, yes.
Just about life. And right now, life is happening. Life be lifing. Right? Life be lifing. And we are talking about my newest book, After Him, A Widow's First Year Devotional Journal. Just came out from Abundance Books. It's available wherever you buy your books. As well as, it's available on Amazon, of course. And it is a devotional journal and a memoir. Right. So each entry has 3 sections to it, right? And so the first entry, for example, right, at the beginning of my journey. And so, we talk about that. And then you have 3 pages, a journal prompt, and 3 pages on which to journal about the beginning of your widowhood journey, right? And then the second part of the first week is a passage of scripture that relates to that theme, right? And then again, a journal prompt, and you have 3 pages that you can use to journal. And then the third day of that week, and you don't have to do it week to week, you're free to do it at your pace, is a little writing and then a journal prompt for you to pray, for you to actually write to God about whatever that theme is, right? And that's how it goes, right, through the book. So there's 18 different divisions of 3 each, right?
Okay. So on the last show, we talked about, I had asked Sharon about, so the backstory, what was it about? But my question, since you're talking about the pages right now, is how does this help couples as well? Meaning, it doesn't just have to be a widow, right? Okay, so some of the prayers or some of the entries, tell me about that.
Right, so I did not think about couples working with the book. Obviously, I was thinking to help comfort, other widows, to see how my journey and went and how God had comforted me. And then there's a verse of scripture I think uses the word comfort 4 times. So we can comfort each other with the comfort that we're comforted with, or whatever. Anyway, that was my thought, right? And then I was putting these reflections on Facebook, like once a month through the first year after James had died, right? And I started hearing from couples, and especially a first lady at a church where I went to speak. She came up to me and she said, I didn't ask you, but I used one of your reflections in our couples ministry, and it saved several marriages. Like, what?
Yeah. And
what's happening,
what was going on? Yeah.
What's happening is that as people were reading this widow's reflection about her husband, the couples were appreciating each other. We're saying, I didn't know you even thought that way.
Yeah.
Or do you think like that?
Or,
what would I do? Even the husbands, right? Yeah. What would I do if I lost you?
Right.
Right? That kind of thing. It's directed for widows.
Right.
But couples and married women can grow from it, can learn from it. Especially the opening, because in the opening, I talk about the things that you need to have in place.
Right.
Right. And there's even, me, the high school English teacher in me came out. And there are notes in the back that discuss some things that you need to think about having in place.
Okay.
Right? I don't know where I would have been without our living trust.
Right.
Or without that pour over will. The pour over will is anything you forgot to put in the trust, that it'll go in the trust too.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Just stuff that if you don't have those things in order, it's going to add to your angst. Right.
Okay. So when did you decide to make this into a book? So you're doing your reflections, you're putting things on Facebook, and now people are saying, okay, this helped me, I didn't look at it this way, changed my perspective, helped me and my husband. Okay, so when does this come about?
It actually came about when that pastor's wife told me, this has really helped.
Wow.
And I remember driving home. I'm always driving. But I remember driving home.
So you're driving home.
And it was like the Holy Spirit, said, this is a book for people.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Because I literally was not doing it for that.
Okay.
I was writing those reflections. Just really, people had asked me, like at the funeral service, or they were writing or calling, how are you doing? How are you doing? And there's no way that I could answer every single person all the time.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'm gonna just put this out here on Facebook so you guys can know. There are some people I talk to all the time. I talk to Laura all the time, but what happens when you write books and you're writing your books, when you start writing books and people start reading what you're writing, and then you start gaining a following of people you don't know.
Okay.
But they know you. The types of books that I write for women, I've been told that you feel like you're sitting across the table, from me with your coffee.
Having a sip,
or what have you while you're reading, so you know me.
Okay.
And it was a blessing because people from everywhere, they were praying for me, and as I was going through with James's illness and all of that. But then afterward, it was like I just needed to get this out.
So, is everything in here about after him, or you were saying, okay, at the front part of the book, this is what you need, think of, this is going to help you get through. So my question is, and I know in one of the other segments, we talked about like when he actually transitioned, passed, died. I'm using your words.
We don't like the word died.
We don't like died.
He died.
Yeah, he died, right? And when you said that, I was like,
he pulled that stunt.
I was like, okay, he pulled the stunt.
Right.
And he transitioned. Yeah. That's the new word,
that's
transition.
The new word.
And you said to me, no, he died.
He died.
And so it's like, oh wow. Okay.
Right.
All right. So what do you say that to the widows in here? What do you say? What do you say?
I talk about very candid. Can you tell? I just want to tell you, look, girl.
Yeah. You want? So you're saying?
I'm saying, look. Here's what happened on this. Here's how I'm feeling a month in.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Here's how I'm feeling 2 months in.
Okay.
That kind of thing is what, this is what I'm thinking. This is what has happened. Right?
Okay.
That kind of thing. For example, I don't like to say, I lost my husband. That just seems like, that is so irresponsible.
Yeah.
You just lose him.
Well, where'd he go? What happened?
He's not lost, right?
He's
I
not
know
lost.
Exactly.
He's not lost.
Where he is, right? One of my favorite ones is when I talk about how you might not have these great memories.
Yeah.
Your memories might be, your husband might have been,
piece of work.
I didn't know how to say it, but that's it. Might have been a piece of work.
Might have been a piece of work.
And I referenced the movie Kingdom Come. where Whoopi Goldberg played the part of the widow. And of course, all the kids and all the people are coming around and everybody's all feeling sorry and I don't know what to say and here's what I want to say. And she's talking to the minister about the funeral and what should go on his headstone. And she says, I need people to know that he was mean and surly.
Surly. That word right there. Mean and surly.
Like, you can't put that on the tombstone. She's like, well, that's the truth.
Yeah,
Right?
you can't, wow. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So in the book, do you talk about the good and the bad?
Well,
what do you?
And the whole idea here is like, look, you need to be honest with yourself.
Honest with yourself.
You don't need to broadcast
Okay.
all the negative things that your husband ever did. Because trust me, they're going to start coming to mind.
You're going to remember. So you're saying you're going to remember. You're going to remember some of that stuff.
The stuff.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because you're going to go through those stages of grief or whatever. And at one point you will be angry.
So you'll be angry that he left you?
Are you about whatever? Angry that he left. Angry that you didn't get to do like all the things, you know, like James had been retired 10 years, I think, before I was retired. Okay. And when I retired, then we're supposed to start doing all this stuff.
Yeah, you're going to travel and
all
do
of that
all this stuff.
Yeah. And I wanted, this isn't in the book.
Okay.
This is fresh off the press.
Okay,
right?
fresh
I wanted to have those years of marriage, you know, where we did all this neat stuff together, even afterwards. So we were married 21 years.
Right, okay.
So that's not a lot compared to my friends who've been married 30, 35, 40, you know, and I wanted that testimony.
Okay.
Of all these years. And that's just not how life worked out for me.
But you had
Yes.
years.
I did.
Because it was the second marriage for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you really still had, that's the good years.
Yeah. 21 years is a good run.
It's a good run.
It's a good run, but I wanted 30, 35.
I'm at 32, so I see.
As a matter of fact, when we got married,
I see.
James promised me 30.
Oh. He promised.
So we have a conversation to have when I get the glory.
Yeah. When you get to see him, you're like,
but
really?
I don't think I'm going to remember anything like that.
Yeah.
However, on
right
this
now,
side, I can
on this side.
You cheated me 9
Yeah.
At least 9.
At least 9. At least 9.
So you go through, you know, remembering, because everyone remembers how great he was.
Right. Okay.
Everyone. And he was a major deacon.
Okay.
At our church. Everyone loved him, looked up to him. Okay. You know, he was fun, you know.
Yeah.
And all of that. Right.
So we're all remembering the great things.
Yes.
And then you're saying that what?
Really?
And so you say that.
Hey, you know, don't feel like you have to have some kind of, like you're guilty.
Okay.
You know, or what have you. Okay. Now, again, I don't tell everybody.
Right.
You know, everything, because everything in any relationship.
Right.
You know, there's stuff that you're going to know about your husband that you're not going to share with everybody.
You're not.
Or whatever. You're going to be mad at him. And here's the thing, if you're mad at him and you share that with your friends, so your friends are going to be mad at him, but you guys make up.
Yeah.
But your friends are still going to be mad at him.
Your friends are still going to be mad. Your friends are still going to be mad.
And then,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that's just something, right? That I have you deal with.
Yeah.
Like in the book. Go ahead and think about that and process those things.
Okay, so during this grief process, and you're writing and you're reflecting, was there any guilt and maybe not all widows, I don't know. I'm just saying, how did you feel? So are you like, I'm still here?
Right. Do I feel guilty about that?
Yes.
No. Okay, no. And we used to tease each other. We used to always say, if you leave me, I'm coming with you.
Right.
But we're not talking about leave, like leaving in the relationship or divorce or something like that. We're like, if you leave me, I'm coming with you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when he left, trust me, I'll be there, but on my time.
Okay,
and on
not,
God's
just on God's time, just not, okay. So
No.
Okay, so there's
Stop
not,
that.
okay, so there's not that.
Right.
Okay.
Stop that. Oh, I wish I would have gone.
Okay, but was there any guilt, and what was it about? Did you have any guilt?
No.
No.
No. I did everything that I could do to walk him home.
Okay.
And it was an honor.
It was an honor.
Okay. It was not easy.
Okay. It was not easy.
All right. Caregiving is not easy.
Yes. Caring for older people, period.
Caring
Your
for
parents.
older people.
Your
And
parents.
now James was 10 years older
Parents.
than me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you're in a caregiving situation for your parents, you know, or what have you, especially someone who you honor, you look up to, again, like parents.
Okay.
Husband, you're supposed to, right? Honor him, look up to him, all those kinds of things. It's difficult, right? And my husband was a take charge person.
Okay.
So he took care of everything. It was just like my dad had Alzheimer's. It was the strangest thing for my dad, who had an earned doctorate, to not know something. How's that even possible?
Okay.
Right? So in the same way, how is it even possible now that James was not taking care of things?
Okay.
So it was like, I needed to jump into that spot. It was like, I'm going to show you that I know how to take care of things.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And I took over. I took over the doctor's appointments, the medication. You know, I was, so that he wouldn't have to think about it.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, it has to be hard when the day the doctor says to you, you have fill in the blank.
You have X amount.
And then more than likely, we're not going to be able to do anything.
We're not going to do anything.
Right. I mean, that has to be hard. So just dealing with that was enough. Let me now do that's the for better or worse, for richer, for poorer, for
sickness, health.
Sickness and in health. There it goes.
Till death do us part.
There you go.
So you live the death.
I live the vows. Yes.
Death do us part.
Right.
Okay, so how can the book help the first year or the widow beyond? Because me looking at some of this, me reading some of the pages, I think it turns into, it can help couples, but how does it help the first year widow? I do have a few that we've gotten the book for.
And when we say first year, it doesn't necessarily mean the 12 months.
Ah, okay. That's what I'm asking. Yes, okay.
Everybody, I'm sure you've all heard this. Everybody deals with grief differently.
Right.
And there are places in grief where it's easy to get stuck. Okay.
Okay.
One lady I know is still in the first stages, and I believe her husband's been gone 8 years.
So when you mean, okay, so what's first stages?
So that's like he just left. Every time I think of him, there's tears. I'm not a happy person now, you know, or what have you, where I was before or whatever. Just, I went through, like I told you last program, I cried a lot. Like at first, at every turn, I couldn't go into the room where he had been without, boo-hoo. I drive past a restaurant we used to, all the time.
Okay.
And as I dealt month to month, and remember, you are still the daughter of the king that you were while your husband was alive.
Right.
Okay, you're still a Christian. God still loves you. The purpose you had, all of that is still what it was.
So when you say stuck, was there ever any time that you were like, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm like, my cousin is still on what am I gonna do? And I'm like, he's been gone 14 years.
Yeah.
What do you mean, what are you gonna do? So, is there this feeling of, when stuck, I just don't even feel like it anymore. Like you have all these books in you.
Well,
so did you stop, or what did you?
Well, I think that's a key, Laura.
Okay.
Because I was living in the purpose that God had made for me while James was here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So
what are you doing that God has called you to do?
There you go.
In no matter what state of married or not married you're in.
Okay.
Right? And so that I did have the purpose God had called me for.
Okay.
I was already living in it.
Okay.
Right? Now, people had to wait a minute for me to kind of get myself,
Right. Get your bearings. Okay.
Right? But I could continue to do what God called me to do.
Okay.
See, in a lot of, I don't know if so much today with millennials or what have you, if it's the same. But I know with baby boomers and the generation before us, wives lived for the family.
Right.
So that when the kids left and the husband left,
what's next?
What am I supposed
what
to do?
you supposed to do? Okay. Okay.
And I think it's wise, because we're supposed to be doing it anyway, to be living the purpose that God asked for us to live. So if you haven't been doing that, girl, what you waiting on?
What you waiting on? So then this
Get going on it now.
Then this is this right here. So is this in here? Because I haven't gone through the whole thing. What did you say to God? I know you're a believer. You're a minister. You're a daughter of the King. I get that. But when he died, what did you say to God? Was there any type of me? I don't know. I want to say. I'm gonna be here. I'm good, God. I'm good. But really, was there any question? Because I know you love God, right? Okay, we love God. But did you ask God anything, or did you feel any type of way, even just for a moment? And then during the tears and stuff, how you feel? Did you ask God anything?
I think it was more of, what's going to happen next? More of a what's going to happen.
Okay.
Than what am I going to do?
Okay.
What's going to happen? How's it going to happen?
What's it going to look like?
What's it going to look like? Yeah.
Okay. And how did you feel about being alone?
Yeah.
How you feel?
Not good.
Okay. Because that part, I'm
not good.
How you feel about being alone?
Right.
And how did you feel in the house? I don't know about that.
I was good in the house.
So you were good in the house?
I was fine in the house. But remember, she knows this. You guys don't know this. She can't remember this, but she can remember this. Almost immediately, I started remodeling the house.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. For example, I sold his car.
Okay.
Almost immediately.
Okay.
Because we parked our cars in the garage. Okay. And we had a little to open and close the garage. So every time I came home, remember I told you he was retired about 10 years before me. So I was still going to work. So I would come home from work, open the garage, his car would be there. That was a pleasant thing most days. Anyway, it was a pleasant thing.
Okay.
I'm like, ooh, he's home. After he died, I pull up in the driveway. Bzz, he's not home.
Yeah. See, that's
The
what.
car had to go.
Yeah. Okay.
You see?
Okay.
So each step, it wasn't so much of a what am I gonna do for me, and this can be for you because see, your life matters. You're one with the Holy Spirit, right?
Right.
It's a daily walk.
Okay.
It's more like, okay, here's something that has come up. This car is in this garage.
Right.
You know, and I didn't like driving his car anyway. I only like driving my
car.
Okay, so the car has to go.
Clothes
had to go. The clothes had to go.
Shoes and stuff.
Yeah, they had to go.
Now, did you give them to somebody you know, or you just gave them?
I took them down to church.
Okay.
We have a, clothes giveaway. I took some of them to Goodwill.
Okay.
He had 42 suits, y'all.
Okay.
He could dress. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Took the suits to the church.
Okay.
Other things, what have you. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we should do one more. I still got questions.
She still has questions. So, we will. Right.
Yeah.
And ladies, if you are a widow and you're struggling in any way, you can write to us.
Right. Yeah.
Here at HSPN.
Yeah.
I will somehow get the email and we can address questions that you send in.
Right.
Be with us also for the 4 Saturdays in August. April.
April
2025. That's where we are. And register. You're getting that on the screen for the discussion for widows. And we'll come back.
Yeah.
And talk about life when?
That matters.
Life that matters and life after him.
Yeah.
Your life still matters. I'm Dr. Sharon Norris Elliott.
I'm Lady Laura Simon.
And guess what we're going to say? Be with us